Hey Hofstra fans, welcome inside the WB Mason Coaches Report with Mo Cassara. I'm Anthony Barrett, joined by Mo Cassara, the head coach of the Hofstra men's basketball team. Coach, thanks for the time. How are you?
Anthony, always great.
And you played in the CAA tournament this past weekend. Not the outcome you would have liked, I'm sure. You fell by 35 points against Georgia State in the first round. It was close for the first maybe 6 minutes of the game, and then their defense really took over.
As I said in the post-game press conference, got to give Georgia State a lot of credit. Terrific team. They had a terrific year. They had 6 seniors, and they were bad. They were a bad, tough matchup for us. They're just one of those teams with their style of play and what they do defensively. They create a lot of trouble for us. And obviously, with the outcome of the game, they were able to really put that pressure on us. About 6-8 minutes in the game, we weren't able to recover.
Eric Buckner, their center, gave you guys a lot of trouble. What makes him such a dangerous player?
He's so good defensively. Changes shots. I think he's one of the more unheralded players. Not only in our league, but probably in the country. I just think he's a guy that's got a chance to make a lot of money playing basketball.
Now we'll look back at the entire season as a whole. You only get 10 wins, but some of those wins were against very good competition. Iona, a probable NCAA tournament team. Cleveland State, who was receiving as many votes as you could without being in the top 25.
Sure.
What did those wins do for your program?
Yeah, and I even would throw LIU in there. We beat LIU to start the year, and we had a great win against them in there in the NCAA tournament, won 24, 25 games. Again, Jimmy's done a great job over there at LIU. We were able to put together some really good wins throughout the year, but I just think with a combination of injuries and various things that just didn't go quite right this year, we weren't able to kind of sustain that. We weren't able to turn that one win into 2 or 3 in a row, and that was something we were able to do the previous year and gain some confidence. So a real challenging year for us that way. Obviously, depth was a big piece, and I think that really showed up towards the end of the season, especially against Georgia State in the CAA tournament.
Now, you brought up the injuries. Stevie Mejia did not play in every game for you, and it looked like he wasn't really 100% until maybe the final 5 or 6 regular season games. Brian Crowder, who was supposed to be a big part in your front court, leaves the team during the middle of the season. Do you ever stop and just think back what this season could have been with all the close games that you had if you had those 2 guys?
Yeah, I think as a coach you do that sometimes. You overanalyze it. I think the only time we actually had everybody together on the court at one time was Cleveland State, and that was a game where we played very, very well up in Rhode Island. I even go back, we were beating Oregon State out at Oregon State at halftime early on in the year. So we had some real flashes of being very good and very competitive, but we had a lot of close games. We weren't able to finish a lot of those close games, but we're excited about the future. There's a lot of great pieces in place here.
Now you lose 3 seniors who were all key fixtures in your starting lineup. Mike Moore, your top scorer, Nat Lester, who was your second leading scorer and your best rebounder, and Dwan McMillan, who started pretty much every game this year at point guard for you. What are you going to miss in those 3?
Well, you miss your leading scorer, your leading rebounder, your leading assist guy. So certainly there's a lot of holes to fill in there. I think on paper, a lot of people will be very concerned about that. We obviously had 4 guys sitting out. We're excited about a couple of the new kids that we have signed in the fall, and we'll add a couple more pieces to that recruiting class this spring. And then, certainly the development of some of our young guys we're excited about.
Now, let's talk, before we get to the newcomers for next year, let's focus on what you do have coming back. Stevie Mejia showed flashes of being an excellent point guard this year, but again, he was never really healthy. He was battling that leg injury for most of the year. Shemaiah McClendon showed flashes of being a dominant scorer. Those are the 2 big guys, as well as Matt Grogan, that you have coming back in the backcourt. What are you expecting from the 3 of them?
Well, I think they all bring some different things. Stevie certainly had a real challenging year. I was actually just talking to him in my office, and we're going to have a real important 6 months with him and getting his body the way that it needs to be so he can have a healthy year. I think at times he showed flashes of being a really solid point guard in this league. One of my goals and challenges for him is I think he can be an all-defensive guard in this league, the way he hawks the ball. So we're looking forward to really, getting his body in shape and getting him physically and mentally ready to play and be a leader in this program here and have a great senior year. Matty Grogan gave us great minutes off the bench, and Shemai at times did some really good things. Versatile guard, we're looking for that next step, that next progression for both of those guys.
In the front court, David Imes, we saw a little bit of a drop-off in terms of production from last year to this year, and then he was injured, missed the last couple of games of the season. You bring back Musa Kone, who had some highlight reel plays in terms of blocks and dunks, and Stephen Wakoni may have been your most improved player from the start of the season to the end of the season. What are you expecting from the 3 of them?
Yeah, I think they all present a lot of positive things for the program. David unfortunately got injured, didn't play at the end of the year, but it's been a real consistent cog in what we're doing. He's a guy that he does a lot of things that don't necessarily show up in the stat line, whether it's entering the ball, taking the ball out of bounds, doing a lot of things defensively, and I think we need his productivity offensively to jump up, and I think, heading into his senior year, I think that will happen. He's going to have a big offseason as well. Musa continues to develop every week, and Stephen McConey the same thing. I think those are two, freshman and sophomore, young, big guys who've got a lot of experience this year.
Now you'll have a lot of newcomers to the team next year. We'll start with the transfers, the guys that were practicing, and the redshirted players. Jordan Allen was a freshman that you redshirted out of high school, and then a couple of big transfers. Jamal Coombs McDaniel from UConn, Teron Bowie from Penn State, and then Daquan Brown. Do you have the potential right now to maybe see three transfers in your starting lineup for next year? How excited are you about getting the four of them out on the court?
Well, now it's a matter of bringing that all together. Daquan transferred in mid-semester, and he's NCAA compliance stuff should be completed here fairly soon. With some family issues that he has, he should be eligible to play right away in the fall. That's what we're hoping for. And then you even had Stevie Mejia in there as a transfer as well. We could potentially have 4 transfers on the floor, and it's just now a matter of bringing all those guys together. But they've had really, really productive seasons. Obviously, nobody sees them or talks about them a lot because they're not on the court every day. But in the classroom, in the community, those guys are starting to do the types of things that we need them to do to be really successful.
Now, you've gotten a couple of transfers to come in during your tenure, as you brought up Stevie Mejia. What is it about Hofstra, or maybe your recruiting approach, that makes it enticing for students who maybe aren't happy at a different school to come here?
Sure. Well, I think it's a big part of, unfortunately, it's a big part of college basketball today. There'll be another big transfer list coming out here shortly when the seasons end, for various reasons. And I think our staff, all coming from different places, all coming from high major places, had relationships with a lot of these guys throughout our recruiting process. I mean, Teron Bowie I recruited when he was a sophomore in high school, when I was at Boston College, and Jamal Coombs McDaniel I recruited and knew him from Boston, and Coach Sellers recruited him at UConn. So we had relationships with those guys that go way, way back before they were even thinking about college. And then when they decide to make a change, they want to go somewhere that they trust and go with somebody that they know. And that just happens to be a big thing for our staff, and hopefully that will continue, and we can continue to bring a lot of terrific talent and terrific young men in here to start to now build this program.
Now you do have some freshmen coming in as well. Dallas Anglin, who's a point guard, is getting a lot of hype, and Jimmy Hall, who plays for St. Anthony's, one of the best high school programs in the country. What are you expecting from those two?
We're excited about both of those guys. We recruited them for a long time, recruited them through the summer and really last spring, and got to know them and really get to know their families and stuff. And they're both playing in the New Jersey State tournament right now. So we're excited about them. Not only great basketball players with great upsides, but great young men, and that's what we're really excited about.
Now we're going to break away from your team for a second. Put on your analyst hat here for the NCAA tournament this year. VCU won the CAA championship. Drexel was the 1 seed. They're still projected to get in as a low seed, anywhere from that 14 to 16 range. How far do you think those two can go?
I think they can both win games in the NCAA tournament. I really do. I think Drexel is in. I think they should be in. I think that their size and strength is going to present a lot of problems. I'll tell you what, if I was I wouldn't want to see them across the bracket for me if I'm a high major team going into the NCAA tournament. And VCU's, their defensive pressure and how hard they play and their continued progression with their young kids, they've gotten better and better and better. I think both those teams can win games in the NCAA tournament.
And with the CAA, what's coming back next year, Drexel brings back most of their team. VCU brings back everyone but Burgess. Old Dominion is always a competitive squad. Delaware has Higgins and Sadler coming back. There's a lot of good teams in this
Northeastern
league.
Brings everybody back. Wilmington brings everybody back. There's a lot of good basketball.
Exactly. Is that frustrating maybe to know that you could have a very good basketball team and only finish maybe 7th in the conference?
I try not to think about it too much right now. I mean, there's a lot of talent in the league. This last week we've been out on the road a lot, state playoffs and prep school tournaments and things, and obviously seen a lot of coaches from our league around. And every single one of us says, wow, the league's going to be really, really good next year. And I think that speaks volumes about the CAA. It continues to be, one of the, if not the best mid-major programs in the country.
Now, obviously, next year's season is a long ways away, but with what you have on paper right now, having not seen the whole team on the floor, what are your expectations for next year with the talent you have?
Well, I think my expectations is development. I think it's progression. I think it's, as we've been here as a staff a year and a half, and it's been a combination of kind of holding things together to developing to recruiting, and all those things are now starting to, those wheels are starting to spin, and we're starting to put our stamp and our program in place, and that takes time. So I would like to see some real progression, some real development We do have a lot of transfers, but they also they have some time here. You know, Teron Bowie's got 3 years here. You know, Jamal's got 2 years here, so Daquan's got 2 years here. Jordan sat out, has 4 years here. So there's some building blocks in place now that we have to, you know, continue to now support them and develop them. And if that happens, the wins will come.
Now, one more question before we let you go. Something we asked you in the very first Mo Cassara report of the season. Mo Cassara, day one as a Hofstra head coach, to Mo Cassara now after 2 full years, what's the biggest difference?
Well, that's a tough question. I think understanding. I think when I sat here probably in that first interview, I didn't have a clear, true understanding of you know, probably the depth of the league and how challenging it would be and things that you now encounter every day as a head coach. So I think I have a much better understanding of not only what we need to do, but where we need to go. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited to go to work every day, and I think we're starting to head in that direction.
All right, Coach, thanks a lot for the time all season.
Thanks, Anthony.
And thank you, Hofstra fans, for joining us inside the WB Mason Coaches Report with Mo Cassara.